The regulation MB meta is now about 36 hours old. Now previously MA ended right about like this. Charizard with a fairy, Charizard with a fairy, Froslass, Kingambit, Sneasler, and then Floette setup stuff. Those were the teams. Now MB has had a couple okay sized limitless tournaments and of course a lot of ladder, and people have found some new toys to play with. So I would say the biggest new addition has definitely been Staraptor. When people figured out, hey, close combat on a mon with good stats that then buffs your special defense and defense every time you click it is kind of just pretty strong. This is also helped by the fact that of course fighting and flying are both very good typings with a pretty solid defensive profile as well. A lot of people are pairing Staraptor with some supportive friends already, like Whimsicott clicking Charm on your own Staraptor, Grimmsnarl clicking Parting Shot or Scary Face on your own Staraptor, and you can even see Sinistcha clicking Strength Sap to buff your own Staraptor. Beyond that, of course, these are also just good support mons. You have Tailwind, you have Light Screen, you have Reflect, you have Rage Powder. In these tournaments, we've also had some well-placing Staraptor teams. So this one, for example, together with Mousehold and the Alolan Ninetales, as well as a Delphox, going 7-3. We also have this Staraptor team with Charm Whimsicott, as mentioned before, as well as a Floette Balance score to round things out. The Staraptor sets, by the way, this one had Roost, and the previous one had Tailwind. You generally are always playing Brave Bird, Close Combat, Protect, and then the fourth move is where you can decide. And then we also had this one by Ryo. Interestingly enough, this is basically my Raichu Staraptor team, but then you change all of the sets. Same 6 mons, but almost no overlap. The next new toy is Swampert. So we're actually seeing a lot of Swampert rain. If you don't know, Mega Swampert gets Swift Swim. So suddenly you have this super powerful, bulky, and fast Swift Swim user. Now the big issue the team still has, of course, is that your Pelipper isn't Mega Pelipper. So getting control of the weather versus something like Zard Y can still sometimes be a challenge. As we can see right here, we had Scraw going 7-2 with a Swampert rain team, with also access to Floette if needed. Also with some screens, so it's very interesting. You don't necessarily have to play Grimmsnarl in your Staraptor team. If you've played in Scarlet and Violet or before that, you'd know Grimmsnarl has just been a really good support for a long time. Then we had this Swampert Rain team going 7-2 as well, this time with Kingambit, Sinistcha, Incin as the non-rain mode. And then we had this rain team going 5-0, this time also with Mega Dragonite. And both of them are also okay mons without their Mega. The next hot trend is my band AAA Void releasing our new song. Pre-save that right now at the link in the description. Next up we have Metagross, and as you can see, this one doesn't have particular partners around it because it doesn't need it. Metagross is goated, but yeah, it has insane stats. It cannot be intimidated when it's still in its base form, which is really good timing wise. Psychic Fangs also one-shot Staraptor. Of course, you do have to attack it first so that it doesn't get its close combat buff. And Psychic Fangs also break screens, so you're also breaking Grimmsnarl's screen. It has seen some success so far, going 9-2. Metagross together with Incin, Milotic, Aerodactyl, pretty standard balance stuff. Then we have Aerodactyl for some speed control, and Komodo actually. What I really like about Komodo is that it is a non-mega that still feels like a raid boss. It feels like a super mega once you're set up, but even before that, Clanging Skills is just an insane attack. And of course, against Zard Y, you have Aerodactyl, Komodo, and Milotic, so you're not that afraid of your Metagross having to deal with it. So another Metagross doing well, going 6-2 right here. Metagross, Sneasler, Garchomp, Ninetales, Incin, and Rotom Wash. So what I really like about Metagross, it doesn't need insane stuff around it to work. It's just good stuff, and you put it on a good stuff team, it's probably going to do good stuff. I dig that. And once again, this team has Garchomp, Rotom Wash, and Incin against Zard Y. You will see this a lot on Metagross teams. You want to have partners that deal with Zard Y, because it kind of feels like it's the one thing that Metagross can't deal with. You could say, oh, but you could play Rock Slide, it'll KO it, but like very often the Zard is going to have other support that makes you not outspeed it anymore, like either Aerodactyl or Whimsicott, and so Rock Slide isn't generally going to work that well. Next we have the counter. So yeah, Delphox already saw success in MA, but obviously wasn't the main mon to watch out for. But now that so many people are experimenting with both Metagross and Staraptor, Delphox feels even better than before. It already walled Zard and Floette, but now it also does really good damage against Staraptor and Metagross. Some good players are trying out Delphox right now, and it's definitely a trend you have to be aware of. Now for other new megas that might end up doing stuff, I think these 5 are like the main ones. These definitely feel like they're worse than the other ones we've mentioned so far, but it could also be a case of of no one having figured out proper cores and teams around it. For example, one interesting thing I saw was Shedtail Trick Room. So you can see right here, it's like a hard-ish Trick Room team with Farigiraf, Mudsdale, Torkoal, and so forth. But then you have a Sceptile that's quite fast and that can Shedtail. So you could lead something like Farigiraf Sceptile, click Trick Room Shedtail, and now you have whatever Trick Room sweeper you have under your Shedtail in Trick Room. And 7-3 is a good record, so you know, this is not just some meme team. It's also just really cool to see Mega Sceptile doing well. It's not generally considered a top tier mon. Next we have Potential Mon. So Annihilate got a few nerfs, but overall I don't think the nerfs are that important on the setup set. If you played Annihilate before, you either had Choice Scarf or you had Rage Fist stuff. The Choice Scarf set got way worse because you no longer have Final Gambit, but the Rage Fist set, even though it technically got a nerf because you can't really switch it out anymore, I don't think that matters. If you were playing Annihilate previously, you were almost never switching out Annihilate anyway. So a lot of people are theorizing like, hey, we can still do Rage Fist setup, you know, like Mouse Hold, Beat Up type stuff, Icicle Spear, a lot of Ninetales type stuff, but I haven't seen it really have success so far. So everyone thinks, oh, this mon has so much potential, and no one has fully captured any of the potential. But it's something to still watch out for. I think if your team doesn't have an answer to the Mouse Ape lead, you still have an issue in the same way where if your team doesn't have an answer to the Perish Gengar lead, you don't need to have a hard counter, but when there's nothing you can do, what are you gonna do whenever you face it? Now, the other non-megas that were interesting were, of course, like Blaziken clicking Coaching. We've seen that before in stuff like Reg H. You can literally protect Blaziken, it gets a speed boost, and now it's faster than everything, and you get to coach next to whatever partner, whether you're coaching a Metagross or Gambit or a Garchomp. It also walls Charizard. Population Bomb Mousehold, of course, is something very spooky. Now that it has the wide lens, it can truly one-hit KO a bunch of stuff in the format. Grimmsnarl Screens, of course. Losing Thunder Wave hurts, and Scary Face is not as good because you can just switch out. It's really not the same thing. But still, I think setting screens and having good stats overall and stuff like Spirit Break. Gholdengo finally did get a painful nerf. Make it rain accuracy as well as dropping 2 stages of special attack is a big deal. As well as Gholdengo just being awkward right now because 3 of the best mons are Garchomp, Kingambit, and Zard Y. But still, I'd be surprised if it saw no success whatsoever. The question we gotta ask though, is it enough? Is any of the stuff we've talked about so far actually going to make much of a dent? And that really remains to be seen. And when I'm looking at these like NAIC top teams, I can't help but wonder whenever I see something added in MB, is this better than the Zard Y Kingambit stuff? I'm not so sure. I'm really not that convinced just yet. I almost feel like the best thing added so far is Garchomp Life Orb, which is just added onto the same team. We'll have to see what people figure out over the coming days. We're going to have much bigger tournaments this weekend. This first video is kind of just a way for you to get ready for those tournaments or ladder, catching those very earliest developments. So is it enough? We'll see, but stay tuned for the answer and subscribe right now.